Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we all talked about a serious problem in Monster Hunter World. The problem? A lack of Nargacuga. There's so many monsters with so little time, so little space in the game, it's honestly a big crime. Looking at all these environments and all these cool places, we have a serious lack of seriously cool faces. These new monsters are fantastic, their movesets are nice, but I wouldn't mind a few monsters returning in the Iceborne expansion, especially ones that have red eyes, monsters that sneak and stalk before they bite you in your thighs. Feel like panthers and eagles and rattlesnakes, oh my, then through all the pretty wyverns, you'll find this one pretty pseudo-flies. Without further ado, and with plenty of time to savor it, let's talk about a monster who's surely a fan favorite.
Nargacuga, then, the hawk panther of your nightmares. He breathes heavily. That just makes him sound creepy. He stalks his prey, really out of breath. He's not very fit. Alright, look, so, welcome to Into the Iceborne, where we take monsters that have a good chance, or at least a almost guaranteed chance, because with Nargacuga it's essentially confirmed. Look, you decide for yourself if this matches this enough to convince you, and it makes sense. He is supremely, well, as the opening said, a fan favorite, up there with Tigrex and maybe for some Barioth. Ugh. And really, it's about time we start seeing the flagships of legend. Because look, I understand why only Rathalos was in World. They wanted the game to stand on its own 2 feet, and being carried by, oh, it says Enoga and a Legia and oh my god, isn't really the way to necessarily achieve that, at least not in a purely authentic way. But now it is proven, it is solid, and it is, you know, there is some still flaws. But look, on balance, the best Monster Hunter game, it's hard to argue otherwise. And now we can bring in those monsters that get people just so in the mood. And Nargacuga is one of them, so our rattlesnake hawk panther is where it's at. But how exactly is he going to come to be? What is the likelihoods? Well, it's Iceborne, right? It's a frosty expansion, the island we're going to, presumably predominantly on the colder side. Nargacuga is a tropical jungle predator, so that is the initial conundrum, and really the answer seems to be plop him in the ancient forest, right? Even if you don't explain why he's suddenly that. I mean, he is ninja-like in that there is one always there, you just can't see him. So we could have just not spoiled him this entire time, but to me, I would almost take this to imply one of 2 options. Number 1, we're getting a Nargacuga subspecies that works in a more frozen environment, but that kind of conflicts with Tigrex and with Barioth, who are, let's be honest, likely too. So the other option then is one of the new maps is indeed a more temperate climate, a little bit more, well, conflicting with the ancient forest, sure, but you can lean more tropical. Go your beaches, get your water in there, and have the sun really pouring down, and have a little Nargacuga surviving as best he can. Now, he is all about the ambush. He is all about the speed, and I really cannot overstate how fast he is.
He doesn't look so fast to me.
And that's something that can really be played with in World, because sure, in the old games he does kind of have that speed, but it's not as overwhelming as it's supposed to be. Naga is a you blink and you miss it, you see a shadow and then you see nothing else because he's already got you. He is the epitome of quiet. Seriously, that kid follows him out. He needs to stop. He's gonna get himself eaten. He just, I know Naga's cool, man, but you need to Alright, fine, fuck you! I hope you get eaten by a monster if you're gonna interrupt me You little motherfucker! Talking to clips from other unrelated videos like I'm having a conversation, because that's my life, 2019. So how I would implement Naga then? I've hinted at this in the past, but to me, his stealth nature should be exemplified. He should be the monster that hunts the hunters, because that's what he does, lore-wise. Anything that enters his territory, he stalks, waits for the opportunity, and when you least expect it. So, for me, when an Nargacuga is on the map, I would have it actively come after you. Not in an aggressive, sprint at you way, but in a slow, creepy, eerie, tension-building way. Because in the old games in combat, he hops around the place, he fires his rattly tail spikes, and that's cool too, but imagine them coming at you from seemingly nowhere. You're like walking past a tree, and then past your face, and you're like, oh my god, where? And you look around and you can't see the Nargacuga. It's a warning shot. It's don't come any closer. And in World, we really can do that. And sure, surely one of his scout fly findables is going to be his spikes stuck into trees and the ground and wherever he has been. That would make sense to me. And he also likes to nest really high up trees too, so perhaps he could conflict with Rathalos's main abode if he does find his way on the ancient forest. The verticality that we have in World actually now really gives Nargacuga the opportunity to shine in a way that he never really could before, because we can use that aerobatic acrobatic nature to actually control the battlefield. In fact, I see him as a much more threatening Toby in that respect. Toby jumping up at the trees, jumping between them as he uses the height to his advantage. Naga could be doing that too. He could hop from tree to tree to tree in a speed blitz to absolutely dunk you in a head-on charge as you fail to stop him because you can't hit him because he's too dodgy and fast. Hell, mid-fight, I'd like him to slink out of sight, and then you have to play a little bit of a game. I would like you to have an almost heartbeat, dun, like you don't know what a fucking heartbeat is. And the louder and more intense it gets, the closer you are to the Naga. In fact, that could be how he's represented on the map in general until you've even spotted him or he's spotted you. It's how you know you're close. You feel his glowing eyes upon you, and his ultra attack that they will give him is to disappear like this, and if you don't manage to find him in time in the most intense, deadly game of hide and seek, you get absolutely wing-bladed out of nowhere, because his wing blades are something that, again, I think could get a little bit more attention. Like his type, the so-called pseudo-wyvern, though technically they're still flying wyverns, their forelimbs, which would be just normal wings, are developed into weaponized legs that are going to be walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days those wing blades gonna slice on right through you. So we gotta use that, right? So when he's time to leave the zone, he can just up and hop up rocks, up the cliff, like Devil Joe does occasionally. He goes out of bounds in order to change zones. I would have Nargacuga do that too, but also intermittently throughout the fight and while he's hunting you before you've engaged. I want Naga to travel the forest in a way that hunters simply can't, because that's how good he is at using his environment. That's how stealthy he can be. That's how much of an apex predator he is. And look, I don't want to bombard too much lore in here. I have given him his own lore video that you can watch, but what I would like then to tie it back to what I was starting with outside of an in-combat, more agile, sneaky, intelligent approach, because Nargacuga is the cunning one. He's very, very clever for a non-elder dragon, but I would like you to be on the map. Maybe it doesn't even show you that Nargacuga is there. Maybe the third picture is always a question mark until you see him, and then the hunt begins in both senses of the word. So he starts to stalk you, creeping close, and if you don't see him in time, if you don't find him, he's going to start the fight with an opening, devastating attack akin to what I would propose to be his super one in combat, where he slinks off. But if he's in the zone with you, the heartbeat starts, alright, maybe a little bit of shadow around the edges of your screen, and you gotta lay eyes on him, also known as point your camera in his direction in a meaningful way for it to count. So maybe you're walking along and you look up at a tree trunk and you see him so gingerly, so softly, just creeping down it, claws buried deep into the bark as if it was butter, and then he stops for a moment, now aware that you're looking at him, lets out his roar, and pounces, and the fight begins. In 4-player, it would be fine, because between 4 of you, you'd probably see him. But as a single-player experience, oh, that would be quite tense. Hell, as part of his, where have I gone? Oh, I'm going to attack one of you out of nowhere. Better get me first. I would have him let out that roar, and then you just hear him make a beeline through the forest towards you, and you can use that thumping, that foliage being brushed aside, branches being snapped, bark being smashed away, because Nargacuga can sprint through a dense jungle faster than damn near anything, almost as quick as something could just fly overhead. Between smashing through anything in his way with his wing blades and just knowing the perfect path to traverse, having the agility to do so, the claws to grip into any surface he could come across, he can absolutely tear it past and through anyone. And I suppose that's what I'm trying to get at here. For me, for Nargacuga, I want to feel like I can't keep up. I want to feel a desperate situation of he's just too quick. He's there, and now he's there, and now he's there. Maybe an attack where he leaps past you to slice you with the blade. Then, as you spin the camera to see where he's landed, he's already gone again. And then you look back round, and oh, he's coming at you again. And, you know, really emphasize that strength of him. And on top of that, his ecology would be very good. Because if you find him with the ghillie, hell, maybe he could be one of the few monsters that can just see you through the ghillie. Maybe it does not fool his keen eyes and senses. That would also be lovely. There is no hiding from the shadow in the night. Just the idea of looking into a dark corner of the map and seeing those red eyes glowing at you, like, is that not... Ooh. Just give that pause, that... oh shit, before it leaps at you. Just enough to realize you done fucked up before you have to leap into action. And I really adore the sound of that. I realize this one might have been a little bit on the rambly side of things. These videos are supposed to be discussion sparking. I want to see some quality stuff that you guys always do provide, because I still, as always, read every comment on how you feel about the monster and how you would see it in world. I see so many good ideas from you all, and it really is just fantastic going through and seeing you bounce off each other. And also, Lucent Nargacuga, please, right? It'd be a great time to bring it back. I miss him so much. Honestly, I prefer him to Silverwind. Give me my Invisa Nargacuga. We need it. But I just want a monster that hunts you in a spooky way. Alright, maybe it's an extension of the game that I think would be a wonderful spin-off for Monster Hunter, a normal person surviving in a Monster Hunter forest, because that would be fucking scary. But I want something to actually feel genuinely like the expert deadly predator it is. And out of everything, especially out of everything we're gonna get, Nargacuga is the one to take up that mantle. Yeah, it might make stuff like speedruns complicated. Yeah, it might not be practical. Yes, this might be wishful thinking. But really, he is a perfect fight. He's not too flashy. He's not too complicated. He just works. He's an exemplary flagship. He is a heart-pounding experience, even if you didn't give him these bells and whistles. But because of how the environment works, hell, you could have him slicing through tree trunks and having them crash down to alter the battlefield as you go. That would also be a neat little way to tie him in. But genuinely speaking, I just want him to feel like he is every bit confident in his ability to hunt me as we are with him. Because really, Nargacuga is that kind of guy. I want to hear that rattle, and then I want to hear that cat. So, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Would you like to have Hunter hunted? Would you like to have Naga taken on that very much unique, maybe too niche role? Or would you be happy with just a one-to-one update implementation of how he always was? Because I initially would have been fine with that, and look, I still would. I love Nargacuga, I really do. But I see what they did with Lunastra. I see just how creative they can get now, having the opportunity and the freedom to be that way, how natural they want to emphasize with World, how now they have said they're finally getting the vision of Monster Hunter they've always wanted, how well they've represented the ecology of everything in the game. I just get excited for how they might spin Nargacuga, the most stealthy predator of them all. So let me know what you think, guys. Let me know indeed. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. And which monster do you think should be brought next into the Iceborne? A goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.